Was Neil Peart really untouchable, or are we finally witnessing the rise of someone who could challenge his legacy? For decades, Peart wasn't just a drummer, he was the standard. Precision, complexity, intelligence behind the kit. But now, a new name keeps surfacing in conversations, once reserved only for legends: Anika Nilles. And here's the tension. Some fans believe she represents the future of drumming. Others, they think comparing anyone to Peart is almost disrespectful. So the real question is, are we looking at the next evolution of drumming greatness, or just a different kind of brilliance that can never replace what came before? Because what most people don't realize is legacy in music isn't just about skill, and that's where this story takes a turn. To understand this debate, you have to go back to Rush at their peak. In the 1970s and 80s, Rush wasn't just another rock band. They were redefining what progressive rock could be. And at the center of it all was Neil Peart. He wasn't just playing drums, he was composing with them. Odd time signatures, intricate fills, philosophical lyrics. He turned drumming into something intellectual and emotional at the same time. Songs like Tom Sawyer became masterclasses in rhythm, but here's what made Peart different. It wasn't just technical ability. It was consistency, influence, and the way he reshaped how drummers thought about their role. And for years, no one even came close to touching that level of impact, until the internet changed everything. Because unlike Peart's era, today's musicians don't need radio or record labels to be discovered. This is where Anika Nilles enters the picture. She didn't rise through a band like Rush. She built her name online through viral videos that showcased something completely different. Her grooves weren't just complex, they were unexpected. Syncopation, ghost notes, and a feel that seemed to bend time itself. Drummers started paying attention, then musicians, then fans, and suddenly people began asking a question that felt almost controversial. Could this be the next evolution of drumming? But that's where things get complicated, because being revolutionary and being legendary are not always the same thing. Here's the truth most people overlook. Neil Peart didn't just impress drummers, he changed music culture. He influenced generations, inspired thousands to pick up sticks. Anika Nilles, on the other hand, exists in a completely different ecosystem. Her audience is global, digital, and highly skilled. Many of her fans are already musicians, so while her technique is undeniable, her impact is more niche compared to Peart's mainstream dominance, and this creates a real tension in the debate. Is greatness defined by how well you play, or by how many people you influence? Because if it's pure skill, the conversation gets very interesting. But if it's legacy, things start to shift again. Technically speaking, Anika Nilles brings something fresh. Her playing feels modern, almost mathematical, yet still deeply musical. She experiments with rhythm in ways that reflect today's evolving sound. Peart, however, was a pioneer in a time when innovation was harder. There was no YouTube, no instant feedback. Everything he created came from pushing boundaries in real time. And that matters, because innovation in isolation carries a different kind of weight than innovation in a connected world. But here's where things take another turn. Even Neil Peart himself believed in constant growth. He studied under other drummers, relearned techniques, and adapted over time. Which raises an even bigger question. Would Peart himself have respected what Anika Nilles is doing today? The answer is probably yes, but not in the way people expect. Because Peart never focused on competition, he focused on evolution. And in many ways, Anika represents exactly that, evolution. She's not trying to replace him. She's building on what drummers like him made possible. But fans often don't see it that way. They want comparisons, rankings, a clear better or worse. And that's where the debate becomes almost impossible to settle. Because you're not just comparing two drummers, you're comparing two different eras, two different systems, and two completely different definitions of success. And just when you think you have an answer, another layer appears. So can Anika Nilles match Neil Peart's legacy? In terms of influence across mainstream music history, probably not. Peart's role in Rush cemented him in a way that's almost impossible to replicate today. But in terms of technical innovation and modern drumming language, she's absolutely among the leading voices. And maybe that's the real point. Legacy isn't always about replacing someone. Sometimes it's about continuing the conversation they started. Peart expanded what drumming could be. Anika is exploring what it can become. And those two things aren't in competition, they're connected. So maybe the question was never whether Anika Nilles could match Neil Peart's legacy. Maybe the real question is why we feel the need to compare them at all. Because legends don't always get replaced. Sometimes they create space for new voices to rise, voices that carry the craft forward in ways no one expected. And if that's true, then what we're seeing isn't a challenge to Peart's legacy. It's proof that it's still alive, still evolving, still inspiring. And maybe that's the most powerful legacy any musician could ever leave behind.